Please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. We'll start with the roll call, please.
President Dom.
Here.
Vice President Everard.
Here.
Treasurer Gaten.
Here.
Secretary Fritz.
Here.
Trustee Thomas. Absent. Trustee Zimmerman. Absent. And Trustee Wazorek.
Here. Okay. That moves us into 4.0 public comments. Anybody out there? There he is.
I don't see anybody out here with their hand raised for public comment.
Thank you. All right. Trickling in here. 5.0 is, wow, we have a presentation?
We do, yes.
That is 6.2.
It's been dancing on its own here. It's doing its own little thing here.
Uh-oh. Do you have the slideshow that you have?
Turn this one on again.
The rain out there, John?
Not that bad.
Yeah.
Elizabeth might melt, so I'm good.
Yeah.
All right, we do have a presentation this evening on our Indigenous Peoples Land Acknowledgement Statement. And with us this evening, several team members, as well as representation from our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Staff Committee. So Brennan S., Amy Peters, and then their liaison, Christine Kustra, Jenny Hyder's on the committee. I know Jackie Barrow is also online, and others. I'm going to turn it over to Brenna, and she's going to lead you through the presentation.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan S. I am the agricultural ecologist with the district and have served as a member of the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee and the Land Acknowledgement Subcommittee, along with Amy Peters and Christine Kustra, to develop the document that we're presenting to you today. The document that we've developed is an Indigenous Peoples Land Acknowledgement Statement and Staff Resource Guide that includes information about land acknowledgement and its use, a pronunciation guide, and a brief overview of the Indigenous groups referenced in the statement, as well as partial history of McHenry County from the early 1800s to today, and the federal policies that have impacted the Indigenous communities from here and in the region. So integrating land acknowledgement into interpretive programs is becoming a best practice. And the DEI committee created a subcommittee to lead this effort in 2021. So over the last 2 years, we've conducted extensive research and communication with numerous tribal representatives and native serving organizations, as well as sought feedback and review from district staff. So I just want to thank you for the opportunity to share with you the purpose and goals of the project and the process used to develop the statement and supporting document. Next slide, please. So I'd like to begin by reading the statement, as I might at the beginning of a program, which says, "To many Indigenous groups and tribal nations, including the Ho-Chunk, Kickapoo, Lakota, Dakota, Muscooten, Miami, Peoria, Potawatomi, Sauk, and Squaxin, McHenry County is part of their traditional homeland. We invite you to join us in offering respect to the Indigenous peoples living here today and their ancestors' stewardship of the land. Together, we celebrate these special places, seek to learn and honor the history of those who came before us, and strive to forge meaningful relationships with Indigenous communities to deepen our collective connection to the land." Next slide, please. So some of you may be wondering, what is a land acknowledgement statement and why should the district adopt such a statement? Land acknowledgement is a traditional Native American practice that dates back centuries for many Indigenous nations and communities. The district's goal in developing a land acknowledgement statement is to be a leader in the community who acknowledges and honors the histories and lifeways of Indigenous groups, past and present, that are still culturally connected to the land now cared for by the district, and to honor and learn from these connections. Generally, a land acknowledgement is an expression of gratitude and appreciation for those on whose traditional homelands we now reside. Its purpose is to recognize, respect, and affirm the existing relationship between Indigenous peoples and the land. Land acknowledgement also serves to raise awareness about the Indigenous perspectives and experiences that are a critical chapter of the land's story. Next slide, please. So to create this document, we began by seeking reliable resources on the history of McHenry County and the Native American groups with traditional lands in present-day McHenry County. So during this time, there were numerous webinars, panel discussions, and programs about the best approach to creating a land acknowledgement statement. And these were programs that were hosted by local organizations that centered Indigenous voices. And these presentations helped guide our process. And really the strongest takeaway was to avoid a performative, empty gesture without action, but instead to establish connections and create meaningful relationships based on respect and reciprocity with the Indigenous community. The Native Land digital website, which was developed by an Indigenous led nonprofit organization, has become a prominent resource for identifying historical boundaries of Native American territories, as well as the treaties that ceded the land and the Indigenous languages that are spoken. Can you put next? Thank you. So when you look at McHenry County on the map, you see that this land is the traditional territory of these 8 Native American groups, which spans back about 400 years. So the website also features a disclaimer that the map is a continuous work in progress, and tribal officials of each Native nation should be contacted directly to confirm the location and history of the traditional land. Next slide, please. So once we identified the tribal nations with traditional homeland in McHenry County, we reached out to over 20 tribal officials. This was typically the tribal historic preservation officers, and we consulted with Indigenous representatives and scholars on the content that we included in the document. And to date, we've received feedback from 6 different consultants who reviewed the document and provided feedback. So the statement has been through many iterations, and review by our Indigenous consultants was extremely helpful in creating a statement that's respectful and informative. In December of last year, we presented the statement and document to all district staff and solicited comments through an anonymous survey, and held a workshop during a staff meeting to discuss the document and receive suggestions and feedback. And these were then incorporated into the current document. And those suggestions from staff were constructive, and feedback was supportive. And insights and perspectives from staff have been incredibly valuable in ensuring the document is a well-rounded resource. Next slide, please. The document that we developed serves to establish recommendations for district staff about how to use the statement. It also serves as a resource with guidance on pronunciation of the Indigenous groups, reference maps, historical and educational information, and additional resources. The statement itself can be used passively, for example, printed in official materials like the district's Landscapes magazine, or on the district's website, or on signage at district sites. It can also be used actively as part of the introduction of public programs and events, whether they're held on or offsite or virtually. These could include a land acquisition ceremony or educational programs as appropriate and at the discretion of presenting staff members. As a living document, the land acknowledgement statement can and likely will change over time as we receive additional feedback from tribal representatives and community members. Next, please. Ultimately, land acknowledgement is not just about making a statement. It's also about building authentic relationships with Indigenous communities who have ancestral and contemporary ties to this area, and to find reciprocal ways to learn from and honor their cultural traditions and all of our connection to the land. And that is an effort that the district has been working on and growing concurrently with land acknowledgement statement. These efforts have been most successful with Trickster Cultural Center, a nonprofit Native American owned and operated community arts center located in Schaumburg. And that partnership started with a conversation about what the district can offer Trickster and what Trickster can offer the district. And from there, we explored ways to integrate Indigenous perspectives into district programs and create a beneficial exchange of knowledge and land access. Since last year, we've worked together to implement a bison observation study that's created opportunities for Indigenous youth to build their resumes, to possibly advance their education. It's helped with urban natives to reconnect with nature and with bison, which serves as an important spiritual and cultural connection. We worked with Trickster Cultural Center on our Weekend of Restoration program and co-hosted winter solstice ceremonies. And we worked together to collect abundant plant materials for important cultural practices, which Gina Roxas, who is the executive director of Trickster, explains that she often travels as far as Kansas and Nebraska for some of these resources. We've hosted public programs that elevate Indigenous voices through storytelling. And all of these programs have been really well attended, often with people on the waiting list. And I think it's really clear through program registration and from discussions with our volunteers and program participants that there's a strong desire from the community from Indigenous voices and to center their perspectives and learn from their experiences. Volunteers have also about the Indigenous history of the lands they're stewarding and have asked about land acknowledgement. So there's an interest in and a request for this practice and these resources. So by adopting an Indigenous people's land acknowledgement statement, the district is communicating to our program participants and our community this important history and our efforts to engage and partner with the Indigenous community. Next slide, please. Thank you, or Miigwech, for your time today. Miigwech is Anishinaabe-Moan, a language family used by the Anishinaabe, which includes the Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi people. Because the language is oral, there's many variations on the spelling of that word. And just a few closing comments. From its inception, the district has been devoted to understanding the cultural and natural history of the lands we've protected in McHenry County and sharing those stories with visitors. We have many resources about the history of these lands from early explorers and from settlers and from stewards. We share this history through the Powers Walker's House and Festival of the Sugar Maples and through artifacts and through many of our other programs. But artifacts can't speak. So with this relationship building effort, we're seeking to learn from the living descendants, to build connection with the Indigenous community and to create a shared opportunity to practice and learn from these cultures, in addition to the many other cultures that we celebrate too. Thank you.
Very nice. Any questions or anything? Anybody got any comments?
Excellent presentation.
Yeah, I was able to attend last fall at Lost Valley. That one.
Yes, I remember, yeah.
Yeah, so that was very nice. Very, very good. And I think that they appreciate it too.
Yeah, great turnout.
Anybody in the audience have anything to add? Oh.
I just
Well,
want
thank
to thank and again, the board's receptiveness and the work of the staffing team and the leadership that went into not only bringing forward this and many other initiatives that we've gone forward. It really is a transformative process, I think, for where we began the journey, and we're on that continuing education ongoing to learn about the people that lived here, how to be respectful to all of our visitors who work here, who come to be part of us. And this is just one step of that. And again, appreciate them taking the time to not just rush and do window dressing. This has been authentic and it's been a participant.
Good. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, nicely done.
Okay. We'll go into new business then. Want to review the regular meeting agenda? Anybody have the consent agenda? Anything need to be changed? We're all good? I guess we'll approve the.
Yeah, if we're good to go, I mean, for the consent agenda and then your action item, on Tuesday night, as we discussed, the Trust for Public Land will be the ballot proposition. And so that's there for you in your information of how that reads, and that has been reviewed as we shared with you, both Trust for Public Land, but also Chapman Cutler and our legal counsel to reach the document that you have in front of you. We will also then have information that we'll be able to provide to you next Tuesday night in final form of additional information.
First thoughts, it seems a little wordy, but it seems, I think.
It is what it is, right? It's-
Yes,
It's hard to
exactly.
say.
So. You see it? Okay. Elizabeth, do you have anything to report on?
No, but just we're into the new fiscal year and we have Earth Day this weekend, so if you have an opportunity to stop on by Prairie View Education Center, please do so. Chairman will not be able to be in attendance for the hike with Mike, but he'll re-pick up at the next one.
Okay.
And are there still openings in the summer camp program? Are those filled? You still remain.
Okay.
We're continuing to follow up. We were able to attend the W.A. McConnell Foundation event on Saturday, and we're able to speak with several individuals. Our Director of Operations, Planning and Public Safety, Don Kramer, led the group through a site tour. And then we are working on scheduling a meeting with the McConnell Foundation group for early May to discuss next steps and collaboration. And that's about it.
They look good, John. I got to drive through it too. And look
Oh,
at-
yeah,
Got some of the stuff.
a lot of curiosity from the group, a lot of questions, you know. So they thought, they were pleasantly surprised, the condition. I think they heard worse.
Okay.
Also, it was better than they thought. Oh,
Yes.
Good. Good. All right.
what they gotta come up with.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
I did say that, Pat. All it
Yeah.
takes is resources.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah, that's a tough one. We'll get something figured out. Okay, public comments number 2.
I'm not seeing any raised hands or questions.
Thank you. All righty. And we're gonna bypass executive session because I feel that there's 2 members short and I think everybody needs to see that. So. Anything else that needs to become before us? Ed, you got the dance ready? Ready some entertainment? Yeah.
It's a little slower than it used to be. No more else to talk about?
Yeah. On the consent agenda, anybody, we already said we didn't have anything, but any questions on like the auction of the equipment or anything like that? You had something there?
I just had a question. They got Kubota ATVs instead of, they used to have, you guys used to have, Polaris. Why the Kubotas
We have 2 sets of them.
already?
The natural resources people prefer the Polaris units. I think they have a little more flotation for being in wet situations. The Kubotas work better for trail utility vehicles. So really they have different purposes. One is a much more off-road, and then the Kubotas seem to be better for the trail, so.
So you guys actually like price, like
Yeah,
different ones or they just,
It may have come off of the state bid or
I see
something like that.
yeah, some, I didn't know what that was.
So that may actually been how it got introduced to us years ago. We had probably all the colors of the sun, under the sun over the last 20 years. A lot of it's who catches the state bid, doesn't meet our specifications. And I remember something specific, and it was when we went to Kubotas, which sounds about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. There was some unique thing about them that made them, I think they were a lot more rugged than the other units we had around. There might have been Kawasaki mules around and some other things, but we found the Kubotas to be a lot more sturdy.
Yeah, the Kubotas are diesel. I have one, they're pretty nice.
So the farm magazine, they rate all that stuff, you know.
Well, what are they saying?
Well, of course, John Deere, that's the nicest one to drive,
No.
you know, cause it's got air conditioning and all that. Like the workhorse is the Kubota and like you say, the off-road is the Polaris and you wanna be jumping or. So I'm just curious.
I don't think they're jumping with ours, but.
Well, I know.
There's no, I'm going to some pretty aggressive areas.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, anything else?
Was there something scheduled that Cran does on a Wednesday?
Yes, that will be for next Wednesday for McCog.
Yes.
So if I wanted to attend, do I just show up or?
Well,
You
yeah,
need to coordinate with us so we can RSVP. Are you interested in going?
I was, yes.
Okay, so if you can, we'll call Shaylin and we'll get you
Okay.
registered to go.
Yeah,
Wednesday night?
For Wednesday, yeah.
yeah, that would be my first event, so I
First event.
just, yeah,
Yeah,
wear
so
my trustee.
Were you, wear your district attire? We'll get you introduced to everyone, because you're gonna be present as well, yes.
yes,
Yes, so.
Okay.
yeah, usually I wear camel, so no one sees me.
Yeah, right.
You'll learn.
Put a sweatshirt on, nobody knows who you are.
Yeah,
And,
you're not from the district, that's it.
Put the hood on.
the attire?
Casual.
Yeah.
Casual. Okay.
Entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Moved and seconded, roll call please.
Right, Vice President Everard,
Yes.
Trustee Wazorek,
Yes.
Treasurer Gaten,
Yes.
Secretary Fritz,
Yes.
President Dom.
Yes.